thank you all for being here today and for getting me to come out to such a beautiful place. It really is extraordinary. For this,
Can't hear you.
for this, how's that? I was thanking you for being here and inviting me. The presence of a place like Burns Bog in the middle of a major urban area is truly extraordinary, and it's the Burns Bog Society people, Slemon, and especially Eliza. She's here somewhere, isn't she? But the work of people like that are the work of worthy of a pilgrimage. Usually I talk about facts and figures and numbers, and I'm not going to do that today. It's going to be different than what I've said in the past, because I believe this is truly a pilgrimage. It's really a pilgrimage to finding ourselves and finding the future. I'll be honest, I'm afraid. I have 4 children. I have 3 grandchildren, and I think about the future because of that. As you all know very well, that we're in pretty hard times right now. These are not ordinary times. The land we're standing on sequesters a huge amount of CO2. Bogs are extraordinary in their capacity to capture and store that element, that compound. There's another process going on. What peat bogs eventually become is coal. What they eventually become is oil. And we, for the past 100 years or more, have been on a drunken binge of burning what has taken thousands, tens of thousands of years to create. And I think, honestly, we have no idea the impact on the world of what we're doing. I think it's becoming increasingly clear. The American Academy for the Advancement of Science recently published in the past month a major study reviewing what the impacts will be and, even more importantly, what they could be. There's no question about the impacts of climate change. I mean, 97% of scientists already agree that there's a substantial impact of humans on the climate and that it's not changing for the better. There's also a possibility that those changes that are taking place could precipitate a rather catastrophic change. I guess what I'm here to say today is that you are a vanguard. You are a people that are awake. And I've got to say, from my point of view, and I work all over the world. I work every year in India, in China, in places with much larger populations than the U.S. But I can tell you that everywhere there are a few people that get it. There aren't very many. But I think that it's our responsibility, the people that are awake, and literally it's awake versus asleep. It's not unlike that movie, The Matrix, where, you know, people are basically copper tops. They're computers that are used. Only I think it's a lot more sophisticated today. You don't need hard wires. You can do it through their eyes and their ears. And honestly, quite literally, I think that we're asleep as a people at a time that is critical, a time that is pivotal. There's time to make a difference. All the best science points in the direction that if we change how we live now, there's a reasonable hope that we can have a long and wonderful future. One of the reasons I have a tremendous amount of hope is that, unlike a lot of my colleagues, neither of my parents went to school. Well, my mother went to 8th grade. My dad went to 1st grade. Because of that, I grew up very poor. And what I learned from growing up in poverty was that it ain't so bad. That really, as I look back on my life, the very best times were the times when we didn't have a lot of material wealth. My dad is a great fly fisherman. The reason he's a great fly fisherman, if he didn't catch fish, we didn't eat. I can tell you, even with my own children, the times that we've been less well off have been the times that we were spiritually much, much wealthier. And as I travel to India, to China, As I work with Native communities in the United States and Canada, people with very little are actually the people that have the most. It's the relationships between people. It's the love and affection we feel for one another that really matters. Does a new car matter at all? Does generating gargantuan amounts of wealth for a very few people, is that a good thing for our society? We, very literally, I believe, are a vanguard. The people that are awake need to share that message, and they need to share that joy. Because once you are awake, you're a lot less likely to need those additional things. Those things that distract. Those things that take you away from your family. Those things that take you away from your community. That's where wealth has taken us. It's taken away from our family. I go to remote parts of India where there's no electricity, where people are living like they did 1,000 years ago. And my experience there, I don't want to come home. Because the people there are genuinely happy. The people greet you with a smile on their face, a kind word in their heart. Everyone does. When is the last time you walked down the street of your town and had that experience? There is an immense amount of wealth at our disposal. And it's in our families, it's in our partners, it's in our children, it's in our communities. And somehow we have become absolutely, completely insane as a society. We are running headlong at very real risks of ending life as we know it. It's not a theory. It's a fact. If we continue on the path that we're going down, we're going to end up where we're going. It's really time for people like yourselves who are willing to go on pilgrimage, who are willing to be awake, who are willing to speak out honestly and truly about their feelings and know what matters. You don't have to be a technical expert. I mean, I'm a scientist, I do research, I have lots of technical knowledge. You don't need any of that. All of you are an expert in what makes you happy and what makes you unhappy. And honestly, that's what we need to share. We need to find that path in front of us that is not reliant on what I see, honestly, as a salve for depression, for isolation, for loneliness. That's what all the electronic gizmos are. That's what a new house, a better car, all those things that we think may make us happy, it's simply a lie. It's simply not true. I'll call all of you today to take a step in the right direction, to share what you know in your heart to be true, and begin to reach out to other people. And when you do reach out to those people, what you're going to find is the music that we hear is the meaning of life. That joyful noise that we're all capable of emanating. We're not all gifted vocalists like some, or gifted instrumentalists like others. But that joy that we can make when we raise our voice in song. That joy that we find when we look into the face of our child. The wonder that we find in the person that we find as our life mate. And the power of community. The biggest gift that I've been given in my year or so of working on this is the friendship of people like Stephen. The friendship of people like Owen. And many, many others. And each of you in our small way. That community we're building is the foundation of something we have to grow. We have to make real, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. We need to find that path back to meaning, that path back to a depth of experience and feeling that, quite frankly, we've entirely lost. Our society is lost in a wilderness, and we need to re-find our way. When I go and do the work I do abroad, I'll come back and give talks. And in every one of those talks, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 physicians come up to me and say, "Frank, I want to go with you next time. I have just got to do it. It's too beautiful, it's too meaningful, I've got to go." In 20 years, how many physicians have come with me? 0. None. Because the people that have a lot, they're wearing golden handcuffs. And they're cuffed as tight as can be. They've got the partners that don't want them to leave because they have to produce 70% of their income to pay for all the costs of running their practice. In the States, that's what it is. 70 cents on the dollar goes to running the place. They don't go because their partner wants the 7,000 square foot house. They don't go because they decided they needed a new car, a Porsche. They don't go for all the reasons that you could imagine. But honestly, they're quite simply handcuffed with golden handcuffs. They can't let go. Don't be that person. Serving other people is why we're here. My friends sometimes ask me, why do I go up to Canada every week? Why do I go and give those talks that Stephen talked about? It's because that's where meaning is in life. That's why we're here, is to build community, to build friendships, and to make the world a better place in the very simple and direct ways that each of us can do. No one can do this for you. There's no technical expert. There's no elected political official. Nobody can do it for you. You, each one of you, are awake in a unique and special way. You have an awareness and a knowledge that other people don't have. Please share that information, share those feelings, share that perspective, because literally our future hangs in the balance. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't, Eliza will probably chastise me because I didn't talk more about coal. But just to tell you that because they're no longer burning coal in the U.S., they have about 130 million tons a year of excess capacity there. And what that means is that that's going to be shipped to Asia at this point, unless we stop it. And for every ton of coal that's burned, 2 tons of carbon dioxide goes into the air. 2 tons. These 260 million tons of carbon will be released into the environment. It's more than the XL pipeline. It's the single largest carbon dioxide production activity that will happen, that we can stop. And we're stopping it in the States. But if we stop it in the States, they're going to send it here. They will. This proposal is for 4 million tons. They're going to double it to 8 million tons. When I talked to people on Texas, they said they had plans for 16 million tons. And honestly, they're going to use every single port in this community, in this province, to make sure that 130 million ton gets to Asia, because there's money in it for it. We have to stop that. We have to stop it. The health impacts are dramatic. I complain about the one in my community. Let me tell you, the one in my community is on 1,400 acres with huge setbacks to the property line, and it's 5 miles to the nearest population center. When I came up here, I was unprepared to visit the site because it is across the street from homes. And then I was even more shocked, frankly, when I went to North Van to give a talk, because there's incredibly dense urban populations literally across the street. I got to tell you, from a health point of view, that is insane. There are pulmonary impacts. There are impacts on your heart. There are impacts on your brain from both the coal dust and the diesel particulate matter that comes off of those trains. In addition, there are noise impacts My colleague that brought that issue up, I said, you got to be kidding. No one's going to believe us. But we're a group of, half of our docs have not only MD but PhD degrees. And they said, let's go to the library and settle it. We did, and he came back with 40 articles and said noise from the trains disturb kids' ability to learn and will permanently alter their intellectual capacity. It said that elders that are woken up multiple times a night have a greater chance of cardiac arrhythmias. It said that workers that are exposed to this kind of noise, when they go to work the next day tired, are more likely to have accidents that will lead to fatalities. These are simply things that shouldn't be allowed to happen. And right now they're trying to not look at the health issues. Because when we debate this, the thing that the people that are opponents cannot tolerate is if you say people will die because of it. I'm here to tell you people will die because of it. I don't know how many, I don't know what age. That's why you need to do a health impact assessment, because that will tell you exactly how many, in exactly what locations, in exactly what age groups. But I can tell you the people most likely to die are children and elders. Women have higher risks than men. The closer you live to that rail line, the higher your risks are. These are not things to be taken lightly. Global warming is a whole nother issue. We need to stop it for both reasons. If you don't believe what I said about global warming, believe what I say about the health impacts, because they're real and they're immediate. I hope I rectified my lack of talking about that earlier. Thank you very much.